Can you imagine a time when American pickups weren't just for heavy work, but were also capable of leaving more than a few muscle cars behind on the highway? Today, we're traveling straight back to the 1960s, a golden decade when the roar of a V8 knew no limits, not even body styles. In this video, I'm going to show you the 10 fastest pickups of the 1960s. Some are legends, others true forgotten gems that roar back to life today. All of them share something in common: brutal power, iconic design, and a story worth telling. So if you love classic cars, if you feel nostalgia for the raw sound of an unfiltered engine, and if you've ever dreamed of having one of these beasts in your garage, stick around, because this video was made for you. And since you're here, give me a like if you also believe old pickups had soul, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any treasures of the past. Here, we celebrate history on wheels, and you're part of it. 1965, Ford F100. Have you ever felt that almost visceral connection with a machine that, though old, seems to have a soul? Today, I bring you a piece of history that wasn't just fast in its time. It's still racing in our memories. The F100, equipped with the legendary 390 FE V8. Get ready, because this isn't just a vehicle. It's a declaration of American strength wrapped in steel, thunder, and timeless design. In 1965, the Ford F100 was no longer just a pickup for farmers or construction workers. It was the symbol of a nation on the move, an America that was growing, dreaming of open highways and wanting more power, more speed, more presence. And Ford's answer was as simple as it was brilliant: drop the mighty 390 FE V8 into the heart of its most iconic pickup. An engine that came straight from the muscle car lineup and, when placed under the hood of the F100, transformed a work tool into an asphalt beast. With a top speed close to 96 miles per hour, this pickup wasn't just fast for its time, it was fast for any time. Picture yourself in the 1960s, flying down Route 66 with that V8 roaring behind you, feeling every vibration in your chest like a war drum. This wasn't just driving, it was living. But what's most fascinating about the 65 F100 isn't just its engine or its speed, it's its timeless design. Simple, bust lines, with an aesthetic that doesn't try to shout for attention, but ends up stealing it anyway. That imposing metal grille, those round headlights like defiant eyes, and a body that looks carved to last for generations. It's no surprise that today, 60 years later, it's still one of the most restored, loved, and displayed pickups at classic car meets around the world. And here's a detail few people know: that very same 390 FE engine living under the hood of the F100 was also used in models like the Ford Thunderbird and the Galaxy. What does that mean? That this pickup, at its core, had the soul of a luxury car and the muscle of a race car, camouflaged in a workhorse chassis. It was like putting a worker's uniform on a professional boxer. Crazy, brilliant. 1967 Chevrolet C10. Few times in automotive history has a pickup managed to do more than haul loads or cross dirt roads. But when Chevrolet launched the 1967 C10 with the monstrous 396 V8 under the hood, the game changed. Because at that precise moment, a pickup stopped being just a tool and became an icon, muscle, desire. This wasn't just any C10. This was a pickup with the soul of a muscle car, roaring with brute force and moving with the aggressive elegance of a steel beast. It could hit 100 miles per hour, a figure that for a pickup in the 1960s was simply absurd and irresistible. And if you close your eyes for a second, you can almost picture it: the cavernous roar of the big block, the steering wheel trembling in your hands, and that unique, addictive feeling that nothing could stop you. The 396 big block was a brutal piece of engineering, taken directly from Chevrolet's most powerful cars like the Chevelle SS and the Impala SS, this V8 was dropped into the C10 as if it were some kind of forbidden experiment. And it worked. It worked in a way no one expected. The public's reaction was immediate. The streets filled with lovers of torque, of noise, of the unmistakable style of a pickup that didn't ask for permission. It just passed by and left everyone staring. But what's interesting about the 1967 C10 doesn't end with its engine. That year marked a radical design transition for Chevrolet. The squared-off body lines, the chrome details, the more steeply raked windshield, everything about this truck screamed modernity, presence, and character. It was a pickup that looked hand-sculpted, with the precision of an artist who understood that steel could also be sensual. And here's a curiosity many don't know. The chassis of this C10 was one of the first to incorporate a coil spring front suspension, which made it more comfortable, more stable, and surprisingly agile for its size and weight. Driving it was almost like handling a muscular sedan, but in pickup format. The result? A legion of fans who, to this day, consider this C10 not just a classic, but a symbol of rebellion, of style, of raw, unfiltered power. Many who owned one in their youth still dream of it. And those who never did look at it with that mix of respect and nostalgia that only the greatest cars can provoke. 1966, Chevrolet El Camino SS. There are vehicles that simply don't fit into a single category, that break molds, defy labels, and force the world to take a second look. The El Camino SS is one of those rare examples. Is it a muscle car? A pickup? A wild piece of madness on wheels? Yes, it's all of that, and more. In the heart of the 1960s, when the fever for powerful cars was taking over American streets, Chevrolet had an idea as bold as it was brilliant, fused the soul of a Chevelle SS with the utility of a truck. The result was the El Camino SS 396, a beast disguised as a work tool. But don't let its shape fool you. Under that hood lived a 396 cubic inch V8, capable of pushing this pickup coupe to around 112 miles per hour, outrunning many muscle cars of the era and leaving people stunned at the idea that a truck could actually fly. The most fascinating part of this model wasn't just its speed, but the way it delivered it. Its acceleration was visceral, its roar was deep, its road manners firm and defiant. It was a car for those who didn't settle for the traditional, for those who wanted something unique, provocative, rebellious. And although production numbers were limited, its impact was eternal. The El Camino SS became a legend of two worlds, admired by muscle car fans and pickup lovers alike. Its design, with that aggressive Chevelle-inspired front end and utilitarian bed out back, made it as unique as it was unforgettable. It was as if someone had decided to mix work and pleasure and ended up creating a motorized work of art. Fun fact, many of these models were bought by young people who wanted a fast car but convinced their parents by saying it was a useful truck for the house. A little white lie that just happened to roar at nearly 120 miles per hour. And now, here's a question I can't resist asking you, watching from the other side of the screen. If you could only have one in your garage, would you pick a classic muscle car, a traditional pickup, or this explosive hybrid called the El Camino? Drop it in the comments. 1960 to 64, Studebaker Champ. There are vehicles that aren't born for instant glory. They don't make headlines or sit proudly in the halls of great museums. But when rediscovered, they feel like a forgotten treasure, unearthed in an old barn. The Studebaker Champ, built between 1960 and 1964, is one of those cases. A pickup with the soul of a sedan, it still surprises anyone who takes the time to really look at it today. In an era dominated by giants like Ford and Chevrolet, Studebaker, a smaller but equally ambitious brand, decided to take a different path. The formula? Borrow parts from the Lark sedan, adapt them to a utility truck, and equip it with a V8 engine that could stand up to the big boys of the time. And thus, the Champ was born. Almost a handcrafted project, born more out of necessity than market strategy, but one that ended up delivering a truly singular pickup. With a top speed close to 93 miles per hour, the Champ stood out as one of the fastest pickups in its class. But what really made it special was its lightness, its agility on the road, and its unique design. A compact cab, smooth lines, and details that looked more like a family car than a workhorse. It was as if someone had decided to build a pickup, but without giving up the comfort and style of a refined sedan. And that wasn't a coincidence. In fact, Studebaker reused body parts from the Lark to cut costs, integrating the front panels, windshield, doors, and even the dashboard directly from the sedan. The result was an unexpected hybrid, a pickup that drove like a city car but carried loads like a farm beast. Here's the most fascinating part. The Champ was also one of the first pickups to offer an optional automatic transmission, something almost unthinkable in utility vehicles of the era, and that says a lot about Studebaker's forward-thinking spirit. They weren't trying to compete with brute strength, but with intelligence, design, and a more civilized driving experience. And they succeeded. However, like many things ahead of their time, the Champ wasn't understood by everyone. Sales were modest, and production ended quietly in 1964. Today, it's a prized piece among collectors who know that value isn't always measured in production numbers, but in character, originality, and soul. 1964, Dodge D100 Sweptline. Picture yourself for a moment in 1964. The automotive world is ablaze with muscle car fever. V8 engines roar on tracks and streets, and every brand is fighting to prove who dominates in raw power. Now imagine, in the middle of all that battle of fast coupes and roaring sedans, a pickup shows up, yes, a truck. And not just any truck. The Dodge D100 with the 426 wedge engine, brutal, irreverent, a wolf in pickup's clothing. Dodge didn't come asking for permission. It came to break the rules. While everyone else was building pickups for heavy work or rural use, they decided to drop under the D100's hood nothing less than the 426 wedge, a competition engine, a block of steel already shaking drag strips across America. This wasn't your average V8. It was a high-performance beast designed to roar on the strip, and it ended up roaring in a street truck. The result was a top speed of about 106 miles per hour, something simply scandalous for a utility vehicle at the time. And the most impressive part, it delivered that power raw, direct, and unfiltered. No electronic aids, no filters, just you, the wheel, and an engine that felt like it wanted to tear the asphalt apart with every press of the throttle. But when it came to presence, the Sweptline series held its own. Its design was bold for 1960s standards. Straight, clean lines that gave it a futuristic air, a front grille that seemed to look down in disdain at anything slower, and an elongated silhouette that screamed restrained aggression. It was like seeing a long-distance runner disguised as a factory worker. The curious and tragic part is that very few people truly knew what they had in their hands. This configuration wasn't mass-produced, and many owners didn't even realize their pickup shared its heart with some of the most feared muscle cars of the era. It went unnoticed until you heard it start up, and then there was no turning back. 1964, Chevrolet El Camino, 327. Sometimes the most dangerous thing isn't what roars the loudest, but what does it with elegance. This car didn't arrive to break the mold like a wild beast. It came to redefine what a pickup could be: fast, balanced, and with a class that can still be felt in every line of its bodywork. It didn't need to shout. It only needed to accelerate. We're talking about a car that could reach 106 miles per hour, something unthinkable for many trucks of its time. And yet, it did it with a natural ease that amazed. Its 327 cubic inch V8, borrowed directly from Chevrolet's most respected sports cars, delivered power in a linear, precise way, almost polite, but lethal when provoked. It wasn't an explosion like the 396. It was more of a steady, relentless stream of adrenaline dressed in a tuxedo. What's fascinating about the El Camino 327 is that it was one of the first models to perfect the idea of the dual car, a vehicle that could serve as a workhorse during the week and dominate the highway on the weekend. It wasn't a pickup disguised as a car, it was a car that by chance could carry things in the back. Aesthetically, this 1964 model marked a clear evolution from its earliest versions. It became sleeker, lower, with chrome details that caught the sunlight like jewels, and a stance that made it look as if it were always in motion, even while standing still. And that front grille? It was almost a knowing wink, as if to say, I know what I've got inside, and I don't need to prove it to anyone. Here's a curious detail many overlook. The 1964 El Camino could be configured with either a manual or an automatic transmission, bringing it even closer to the muscle car universe and offering a driving experience that went far beyond the utilitarian. In fact, many enthusiasts claim this model was the perfect transition between the classic style of the 1950s and the muscular aggression that would dominate the latter half of the 60s, and there's something we can't ignore. This El Camino hasn't aged. It has matured. Today, seeing it roll down a rural highway or parked at a classic car show evokes the same feeling as a well-aged wine or a song that never loses its magic over the years. It is elegance in motion, and that's a quality neither time nor technology can replace. 1969, Ford Ranchero GT. In the automotive world, there are moments when a brand dares to do something that borders on the insane and ends up creating a legend. The Ford Ranchero, equipped with the mythical 428 Cobra jet engine, wasn't just a risky gamble. It was a declaration of war, a disguised pickup, unafraid to compete with the great muscle cars of its era. And for many, it was an alternative version of the Mustang, with a cargo bed, because that's exactly what it was. The heart beating under the Ranchero GT's hood was the same one roaring in the Mustang Mach-1 and Cobra Jet, a high-performance 428 V8, designed to smash stopwatches and leave behind anything that dared to challenge it. Top speed? Close to 115 miles per hour. But the most striking part was how it got there. With raw brutality, torque that felt like it was bending the chassis, and a sound that still sends chills down your spine from the first crank of the engine, visually, the 1969 Ranchero was a perfect fusion of power and elegance. The front end borrowed the aggressive design of the Torino GT with its sharp grille, recessed headlights like predator's eyes, and a stance that seemed to say, I'm not what I look like, I'm much more. From a distance, anyone might mistake it for a conventional muscle car, but just one look at the back, with its functional cargo bed, revealed that this was a glorious anomaly. And here's a detail few know, one that makes it even more special. The Ranchero GT could be equipped with a drag pack rear axle and an external oil cooler, features designed exclusively for drag racing. In other words, this pickup was ready to leave the dealership and head straight to the quarter mile without a single modification, something not even many factory muscle cars offered. And yet, the Ranchero GT always lived in the Mustang's shadow. Perhaps that's why those who know it admire it so much. Because they understand they're looking at a car that wasn't just fast, but fearless, born to defy the logic of its time. It was Ford's answer for those who didn't want to choose between power and utility, between speed and work, between form and function. And there you have it, 10 classic pickups from the 1960s that not only defied the rules of their time, but that still set hearts racing today as if no time had passed. Some were beasts in disguise, others hidden gems, but all have a story worth telling and reliving. Now it's your turn. Which of these trucks made your heart race the most? Have you ever driven one? Or do you dream of someday having one in your collection? Drop your comment below. Don't overthink it. Share your memory, your opinion, even your question. Because this channel isn't just mine. It belongs to everyone who has gasoline in their veins. Still craving more? Then you can't miss the next video, The Most Beautiful American Pickups of the 1960s, a collection of design, elegance, and classic beauty that will steal your heart. Click now and keep enjoying the very best of the past.